So, Attack on Titan ended, and it sucked. Well, this doesn't have to be the end. This could be the beginning of a beautiful point in your life. One where you... So, a couple of days ago, as of the time of recording, the last chapter of Attack on Titan was released. And it was...
We interrupt this program for an important announcement.
The Attack on Titan fandom
Is literally in a state of total chaos tonight.
Not looking too good up here, Perch.
Kodansha
It is just about to come apart at the hinges. Customers are in a rage over not getting their
satisfying ending.
It was terrible. It was awful. It was so bad. The fandom revolted. They went nuts. So many people had so many problems with this final chapter, introducing random stuff out of nowhere. In the last chapter of a series that had been going on for over 10 years, just randomly introducing new relationships, plot lines getting dropped, things just coming in and not being explained, everything driving people insane, and it wasn't satisfying at all. And this is about what I expected. This isn't going to be a deep analysis and criticism of the finale, because I didn't actually read the finale. I haven't actually read Attack on Titan at all, any of the chapters, in like, what, 5 years? I had been hearing a few things here and there of stupid stuff that had happened. Oh, Sasha got killed off, which was stupid. I mean, I actually only recently learned the context of that, which made it even dumber. But there was so much insane stuff, and I was hearing all this stuff, Eren becoming like a villain, and all this stuff, and I was just like, this is why I dropped the manga. I stopped enjoying the manga back in... It was late 2013, if I remember correctly. That was when I remember having issues. I think chapter 50, the one where Haynes died, that was really kind of spelling the end of a lot of my interest in the series. Because especially, you have Haynes die to the Titan that killed Eren's mom, and he didn't even get to kill it, making his death pointless, and his death is glossed over, despite the importance he had to Eren and Armin and Mikasa. There are a lot of reasons why I dropped the manga. And one of the things that I had been saying for many years is that the series was going to end badly. So while I do feel bad for a lot of innocent fans who were just invested in Attack on Titan, I told you so. Insert F you I was right by Razor Fist here. I'd been saying that this was going to happen for a long time. I actually have a video where I had actually literally said this same thing. It's just so bad, and that's the only way to describe it. It's bad. I don't understand how it's still so popular. And I swear, once we finally get to the end of Attack on Titan, when the inevitable, completely stupid conclusion of this, that's going to be just like Lost, and so unsatisfying, and such a big middle finger to people who've stuck with was it 6 years now? Yeah, all these years of dedicated of their lives to Attack on Titan, it's gonna come crashing down at some point. Even the biggest fans will turn on it at some point. I knew Attack on Titan was going to end like this, and I knew it would end with the fandom getting pissed off because of everything being wasted, because this is how Isayama writes. A lot of the issues that people have brought up, plot lines being dropped, stuff not making any sense, stuff just coming out of nowhere, the plot lines being illogical, everything's just going wackadoodle. This is stuff I had complained about since like 2013. And I tried to warn people. I tried to warn people that they were going to be very disappointed when they got to the end. And a lot of people got really mad at me. I've had a lot of people over the years attack and insult me for, just being too stupid to see how great Isayama is, and how wonderful Attack on Titan is, and how everything's going to be great. As recent as just in the last couple of months, I've had people attacking me, insulting my intelligence, telling me I don't have a normal brain if I can't comprehend the genius of Attack on Titan. Those are the people I'm really smug at. Okay, I understand. A lot of fans, very innocent. They didn't attack anyone, they were just fans of Attack on Titan. So this comes as a big slap to the face to them. And I'm not angry or smug at those people. So if people like you are watching this, I have no ill will towards you. I have ill will towards the people who attacked and harassed anyone who dared criticize Attack on Titan, because I absolutely told you so, and I knew this was going to happen. Now, the reason why I have empathy for fans like this is because I used to be that fan. Not for Attack on Titan, even though there was a time where I was a big fan of Attack on Titan. Back when the anime had just come out, and I started watching it, started reading the manga. I was playing that fan game by, was it Feng? The one where you had the little chibi Attack on Titan characters, and you'd go around like Trost, killing the Titans. But this is based on my experiences way before Attack on Titan, back when I watched Lost, and I had the exact same experience. I know what it's like. I know what this feels like. I know exactly how it feels to dedicate your life to something for years, only to have a finale come in and slap you in the face.
I know who you are, boy, because you're me.
I've mentioned this in the past, but I used to be a big fan of Lost. Back when it was airing, and I think it was the end of season 2 when I first started watching it, because I didn't watch it from the very beginning. But after I started watching it, I got hooked. I was obsessively watching every episode. I was there. Every week a new episode was airing, and I was there watching it. And then I'd gather around with friends, family, neighbors. A lot of people watched Lost. Lost was a big deal when it was airing. It was big. So we'd all gather together the day after an episode would air, and we would be talking about our theories, trying to figure out what did it mean, what was all going on, what are their motivations, what's the answer to this mystery, oh, what did it mean, what are the numbers, oh my gosh, the bunker, what's Dharma doing, the smoke monster, the polar bear, so many mysteries to figure out. And I watched, I think it was in total 4 years that I was invested in the show. Until the finale. Now, I was a huge fan of Lost. I was a big, massive, ultra, super mega fan of Lost. I was a shill. I'll just come out and say it. I was a shill. I was that obnoxious fanboy who would go, no, Lost is actually a brilliantly written show, you just don't understand, kind of stuff whenever people would criticize it, because people were criticizing it for many years. And I would always fight them. I never reached the point of like Steven Universe land levels of shill where like you attack and harass people. I never got like violent or horrible or harassy. I would just staunchly defend the honor of Lost and the honor of those writers. How dare they say the writers didn't know what they were doing? How dare they say that the writers are just throwing random nonsense in to distract you from the lack of any coherent plot? No, they're wrong. I know. The writers said they had a plan. They know what they're doing. Everything's going to come in. It's all part of the plan.
Because it's all part of the plan.
And then the finale hit. And I, and many others, realized the critics were right. It was a sobering experience, to say the least. Also extremely infuriating. I and many others were angry because, the ending comes out of just nowhere, and it's like, all right, we're not going to solve all these mysteries that we introduced and, seemed like they were going to be notable. We're going to throw a few unsatisfactory answers about a few mysteries from, like, the early seasons of, what's the smoke monster? The smoke monster is the man in black who gets died and then thrown into the center of the island, and he comes out as a smoke monster. The more I think about it, the more the last season was just insane. But, when we got to the end, it's like, oh, hey, you know this flash sideways thing that was supposed to be like an alternate timeline where the plane never crashed, but all these characters were still mysteriously meeting each other under strange and absurd circumstances. That was actually purgatory. And before someone goes, oh yeah, they were all dead the whole time. No. It's dumber than that. It actually would have been better if everyone had just died and the island was some weird, like, nonsense. Like, no. They were on the island. That was all real. The ending was like, everyone dies eventually. So, eventually, everyone will come to purgatory. And then eventually, they'll all meet up. And they'll go to this weird church and walk into the light once everyone is there. All the important characters. And that's it. There's so little resolution to what the hell was going on. And then the writers had the audacity to come out and say, well, it was never about the mysteries. It was always about the characters. It's about Jack. It's about Sawyer. It's about Charlie. It's about all these people. And we gave them a satisfying conclusion. No one really cared about the mysteries. And a lot of people were like, what the hell? The entire show was built on mysteries. It's practically Mystery Box, the show.
Well, what are stories but mystery boxes?
There were so many things that by the early seasons writers' outright admission, they threw in just to create intrigue. Stuff like the smoke monster. There was no idea or plan behind it. What was Dharma doing? What's all this stuff? There was no real plan. It was thrown in because they were like, well, I mean, you know, it's mystery and people will get to speculating. And that's the problem, is that writers who throw in a bunch of stuff to keep people interested but have no intention of really answering stuff, it'll eventually come back and bite them. It'll eventually come crashing when they have to actually in the story and provide these answers, because they're like, well, we don't have any answers, so whatever. And this stuff happens all too often. It was a big reason for why Lost ended up completely face-planting in the finale. Because the whole thing was designed to just keep going and going with constant mysteries. And people, myself included, ate it up. We ate it up, and we didn't even realize how stupid we were until the finale. Until we realized that all these things, all these mysteries, didn't mean anything. So all that time we spent theorizing over what it really meant was pointless. All the times we endured those absurd plot twists, the time traveling, the dimension, timeline stuff, which turned out to be purgatory, all that stuff, it didn't mean anything. It was just the writers spinning their wheels, you know, until they got to the end. And then afterwards they were like, well, we can't figure this out, so bye. And then left, and that was it. Leaving all the people who cared about that, which was everyone, really pissed off. And that's what happened with Attack on Titan. To bring it back to the topic at hand. Attack on Titan was a series that was very much heavily built on a lot of mysteries. Oh, what's in Aaron's basement? What are the Titans? You know, ooh, the king. Ooh, Rod Rice, the true mastermind. Oh, the people beyond the walls, the colossal Titan. The armored Titan. The female Titan. Oh, all this stuff that was thrown in. You never really got satisfactory answers for a lot of this. And it actually became infamous in the fandom of what was in Aaron's basement. Because very early on in the manga, there's a storyline. It's the second major storyline right after the Trost arc, where they're going out to get to Aaron's basement. And then that turned into the female Titan arc. And Aaron's basement was just kind of left in limbo for a while. And apparently they got to it in chapter 80 something. I don't remember. I had quit. I had totally dropped the manga, just totally. Not even checking in occasionally. But totally dropped it before that. Because when you think about how long it took, especially when it was coming out, it may not seem as bad if you're binging the manga now. But let me tell you, when it was coming out, it took years waiting for this stuff to come back. I mean, Annie gets frozen in crystals. All right, is there going to, be something to get her out eventually? You had to wait years for that. Oh, Reiner, Berthold, and Ymir kind of disappear in a flurry of Titans. Okay, but we see they're okay. So when are they going to come back? Oh, well, you're just going to have to wait years for that. So much stuff going on that just... And all this kind of nonsense of plot lines coming in, being, like, swerved left and then going into a totally another plot line. Some stuff that people complained about in the finale. Like, that's the reason I quit years ago. And to be honest, I saw the writing on the wall. So much of Attack on Titan reminded me of Lost. And it reminded me of all the things that I otherwise would have just ignored back then when I watched it as a teenager. But looking at Attack on Titan now, I'm a little wiser to those tricks. I called out the fact that Isayama didn't know what the hell the story was, and he was just making everything up as he was going along years ago. Like, that was one of the reasons I criticized the manga. Because it seems like every time someone would come in that could provide any information, they either decide not to, or are killed off, or just something happens. I mean, Ymir at one point, was when she was with Reiner, Berthold, and Eren, was actually considering telling Eren some of the stuff, like that actual important, like, lore, backstory stuff that would be helpful to understanding things, and then, I don't remember if it was Reiner or Berthold, it may have been Reiner, but then they were like, hey, don't do that, and she's like, okay. It'd be nice to know. Or Pastor Nick, when he comes in, when they see the Titans in the walls, and he's basically like, I know stuff about the plot. And then, like, not 2 chapters, was it 1 or 2 chapters later? I don't remember. It was pretty soon. But then it's like, oh, well, someone killed him, so we don't, know. Well, what's the point of that in the first place? And I really think, like, that stuff and the reason why Aaron's basement was put off for so long is because Isayama didn't actually have answers. Like, stuff happened. He didn't really have a plan why. And I think once you get to the finale of, Attack on Titan, a lot of people would say, yeah, it seemed like he just didn't really have a plan. Like, everything just, whatever happens at the ending, all of a sudden things come out of nowhere. And it's absurd. And I tried to warn people. I really did. Because I know what it feels like to go through that. That's why I bailed. I bailed way early because I was like, I don't want to get involved in another Lost situation. I mean, I also went through Legend of Korra, at least the first season, being all hyped and, oh my gosh, which was actually just a couple of years after Lost ended. And I was so hyped until you got to the finale there, and I was just like, wow, that was bad. And stuff like that is the reason why I don't really trust writers anymore. Because stuff like this will happen. Unfortunately, there are far too many shows like that where it seems like they start off great, they've got good writing, everything's going flying high, and then comes crashing down. And I saw Attack on Titan crashing. Honestly, I saw the issues as far back as 2013. It was when Squad Levi died, which is something that I've criticized heavily a lot in the past. It was my wake-up call of, despite the fact that, people are dying and it seems like this could be interesting, no, this isn't going to be worth the investment. And with the way that the ending turned out, well, I do feel bad for some people. I want to make that clear. I also feel really validated. I had spent years saying this stuff, and it came true. I mean, would I have liked Attack on Titan to have stayed consistently good, everything to have the same quality of writing that we saw, like, during the Trost arc, which even if it has problems, even at the beginning of the manga has problems, that's still the best writing the series ever had. If we had Trost arc level writing throughout the entirety of the story, it may have been flawed. At least it would have been decent and not mind-numbingly horrible and pissing off the fandom. Like, I've heard of people who are like burning the volumes of the manga that they had bought because they're so angry. People who are like leaving Attack on Titan Discord servers and completely leaving the fandom totally. Because they're so upset, they're so heartbroken over what happened that they just can't bear it. And I remember seeing stuff like this happen with Bleach and Naruto, especially Bleach. Bleach was a terrible ending. But goodness gracious, Attack on Titan might be worse. Just because of how insane that ending is, and just how much it pissed people off. And I can't blame people. Even if I had been warning this whole time, I can't really blame people. Because if people were invested in Attack on Titan, and they were, they really loved it, with an ending that gives such a huge middle finger to them, yeah, they absolutely have every right to be angry. Isayama is a hack. I've been saying this for years, but you know what? I'll take better late than never when it comes to people agreeing with me on that. Even if it took them a number of years, and it took the finale being an absolute dumpster fire, I'll take it. I just wish it didn't require people to have their hearts absolutely ripped out. Because I know what that feels like. And I don't want people to go through that. It's upsetting. It really is genuinely upsetting to have, your love for a series completely trashed. And I used to really like Attack on Titan, despite the fact that it was pretty dark. I liked it. Until I didn't. Until I had become jaded on it. And Lost, for me, was a learning experience of not blindly trusting writers and not making excuses for bad writing. And since Lost, I've learned to not, obsess about, shows or series or whatever, and to not think that a writer is infallible, or even if they make something really good, that, just because they have made good stuff, it doesn't mean that they're always going to be good. They can make mistakes. They can make something bad. Even you look at Bleach. The first couple arcs are pretty darn good. Well, for any flaws they have, the good outweigh the bad in Bleach. And then afterwards, you get, a bunch of dumb stuff, and then things kind of get worse. You get the last arc, which is really bad, but then you stick with it still, and then you get to that ending of Bleach, and it's just bad. Just because something has been good doesn't mean it'll always be good. So am I really happy that Attack on Titan ended so badly? A little bit. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Being validated like this, after saying this for the better part of a decade, I was right. But then there's also the fact that a lot of people really are genuinely upset. And I've seen a lot of people that I knew, or people I'd seen on social media, on Twitter, Discord, whatever. People who are so genuinely heartbroken, and I feel for that. I feel bad for those people who really did think that Attack on Titan was going to end well. It's bittersweet, really. On one hand, validation. But on the other hand, people are actually genuinely hurt by this. So, Attack on Titan's legacy will be, it was bad. It's going to be looked back on like many fans of Lost look back on it. People feel that it was a waste of time. That all the speculations and all the analysis that they did was completely meaningless. It's kind of sad. And it's especially sad given that Attack on Titan is such a big series and has been significant basically since the anime came out in 2013. That You know, it is sad to see something crash so hard. But given the quality of its writing, it really did deserve it. And I'd been pointing out a lot of these problems for years. And a lot of people fought back on it. A lot of people insulted me. A lot of people got angry that I dared criticize it. But to those people again, I told you so. I called it. Because I saw the writing on the wall. And when I told people, they didn't want to hear it. So I hope those people who'd been so aggressive in defending the series, to the point where they didn't even want to accept the idea that anything could be written even slightly less than perfect in it. I hope that they realize that you can't hold any writer or any series up on a pedestal like that. Very few are worthy of being held in such high esteem. And especially as the series goes on, and this is one of the reasons why I find it so difficult to get invested in shows now, because so many times you end up being bad. Like freaking Voltron even. Stranger Things had problems. Castlevania Season 3 was a dumpster fire. You know, I mean, it's the reason why I'm scared to get invested in some shows. I know I've heard good things about the Dragon Prince show. My internet has, but I'm like, even if he does good work, I don't want to get invested. I can't. I have such a hard time getting invested because it feels like my heart gets broken, even by shows that, you know, I really liked. And it still happens with shows recently. But most of the time, I duck out before that really gets bad. Just because when I start seeing the writing on the wall, I bail. I'm out. So, what are the lessons learned? Don't put stories up on a pedestal like that and worship them. Any story can go bad. And be careful. Be careful and be cautious. And those are important takeaways when it comes from stories like that. Sometimes it just gets bad and you gotta bail. And it's just not worth it in the end. Well, thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have: patience. Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing.